Brian and Grant Caith with KGOS KERM. You can watch a live video broadcast on the YouTube channel link under KGOS Sports. You can also listen to us live audio on 99.9 FM and 1490 AM. We appreciate you being here and taking care of us. Tyler, thank you from Torrington Telegram. We appreciate you covering us also, so thanks a bunch. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll identify that Councilman Kinney is not here tonight. He is somewhere between Chicago and Denver, driving his son's pickup to Denver. Hopefully he makes it and so on, and so he is excused. With that, we'll go ahead. Rick, would you do the pledge?
I will. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Some information tonight. Since the last information I've shared to you, we've experienced quite a variety in regards to weather. We've had some snow, quite a bit of high wind, some unusually warm temperatures, and some seasonal temperatures also. The recent event last week of wind fortunately did not cause much extra work for our electrical department. Much more serious wind problems, as you know, occurred south and west, particularly along the interstate routes. Hopefully we won't see much of that. We do expect that there will soon be snow on the ground. All City of Torrington staff that have snow removal responsibilities were well prepared for our recent snowfall and got the streets and sidewalks cleared in remarkably quick time. A reminder to all residents that city ordinance requires residents to have their sidewalks cleared within 24 hours of a snowfall. So if you or someone you know will have trouble clearing your sidewalks, give us a call. We'll try to get someone out there to help you out. It's been about a month since I posted a COVID-19 report. Since COVID began, Wyoming has had just over 100,000 identified and probable cases. As of today, there have been 1,526 Wyoming deaths, COVID-related, that is, Wyoming deaths. The most recent Goshen County data shows about 2,600 cases identified, up 12 in the last month, with currently 17 cases active. There have been 52 COVID-related deaths over the last 2 years in Goshen County. That is up 3 since reported just a month ago, and it's 2 in just the last 3 or 4 days. The last thing to report is that something that we need to be concerned about, and that's that the Omicron variant has been identified in Wyoming. That was as of 3 days ago. Now there are 4 as of today. Fortunately for many of us, the vaccines are being reported as being effective against this variant. Currently, we are in a much better position in regards to COVID-19 concerns than we have been in the past, but there still need to be remaining cautious. Continue to protect yourself, your family, and your peers. The best intervention to protect our catching the disease and spreading it to others, as you know, is to be vaccinated, and we continue to encourage that along with the booster shot for those who would get it. We encourage our citizens to be mindful of the groups that they find themselves in, to continue to wash your hands, to use sanitizers, and wear a mask where you think you might be at risk. Vaccines are available to nearly all age groups now. If you can call public health or your current health provider, you can schedule an appointment. Sewer upgrades for the year are complete, and except for some minor concrete work and the finishing up of details, the alleys are open. The streets that are blocked should be open within the week. Pre-bidding has taken place on the new $3.5 million sewer treatment facility, with bid opening to take place mid-January. Construction on the project will then continue through 2022. We are still waiting on the delivery of our emergency generator for the ambulance building, and also waiting for the materials to do the fuel island upgrades at the airport. Our engineering department will present an RFP for the electrical department inventory next month. Crack sealing operation, which began a couple weeks ago, is complete, and those contractors have left the city. I spoke this morning with Paul Novak and Peggy Holmstrand in regard to Evergreen Plaza. I've had a lot of questions over the last week or so about when that open would take place. All of the changes have been accepted by the Department of Health. The process is in the hands of the licensing division as we speak. They are confident that Evergreen Plaza will be open for occupancy and move-in ability on Monday, December 27th. We'll keep our fingers crossed on that. The last thing I could add about Torrington, I spoke with Lance Petch today, our Torrington fire truck. The new ladder truck is in Frederick, Colorado, getting a few minor finishing touches put on it. And then sometime after the first of the year, the city of Torrington will go down, pick it up, and drive it up here. And they have training planned for later in the month of January. All that continues to happen across the country serves to remind us of how fortunate we are to live in this community. Our downtown is one of the jewels of Wyoming and of this region. I understand from our downtown businesses that holiday shopping to this point has been very good. Please continue to shop locally and support our newer businesses, our restaurants, our retail stores, grocery stores, fuel suppliers, and everyone else who's working very hard to be successful in this community. We have a lot to be thankful for here. We're very proud of our downtown entrepreneurs, our active and productive economic development and chamber people, all of our first responders, and this community's healthcare providers. I continue to be amazed and impressed at the number of volunteers in this community who coach our kids, who work with our churches, retirement homes, the hospital, nursing homes, and in many, many other voluntary capacities. As we near the upcoming holidays, remember to count your blessings, treat everyone as you would have them treat you, and have a great and responsible holiday season. Everyone here at the City of Torrington want to wish everyone out there a very Merry Christmas and a healthy and happy New Year. And now I get to do something fun. I'd like to have Ellie and Tom and Dana join me on the podium. Just kind of line up in front of the podium. I'd appreciate it. You get close to me, it won't hurt.
Sit in front of the prince.
Thank you. Anyway, the reason these people are here tonight is several. First of all, they're here to receive a service award. Dana Utes has been with the City of Torrington in the electrical department for 40 years, a long, long time. Tom Werkel has been our shop guy for 35 years, again, a long time. Kelly Matlock is our purchasing agent, and 35 years also. They are great workers. I don't know if any of you know much about them, but they are people that I depend on every day, people that I don't have to worry about, people that I can trust, and people who do a great job. I told Kelly I wouldn't tell her anything about her that would be embarrassing. I do know a pretty good story, but I won't tell it. Anyway, I very much appreciate all the work that she does. She probably knows more about what goes on in our departments because all the purchases go through the purchasing department. She's very well informed and takes very good care of everybody else. Tom is the guy who can fix everything from a weed eater to a caterpillar and everything that's in between. And if you can imagine the skills you need to be able to do that kind of work, it's amazing to me, and I'm sure amazing to most people. So we're really tickled to have Tom doing that job, but we're really sad because we know that June 30th?
Yeah, July 30th.
July 30th, he's going to retire. And I told him he can't go until we find somebody to replace him, so we're not really looking too hard. Dana, electrical department, started under Leroy Smith, I believe. You trained under Leroy Smith? And spent a lot of years with that. And over the years, probably worked with, I don't know, 25 or 30 different electrical people. At least more than that, yeah. Anyway. I first met Dana in 1973 when I moved to town from Colorado. My wife said, there's a house on Main Street I'd really like to have. It's really a cool house, but it's not for sale. Well, I thought, well, so big deal. So I went off to football camp to coach football, and when I came back, we had bought a house. And Dana's parents owned that house. I met Dana, I believe he was in the 8th grade at that time, and we've kind of had a relationship ever since. Again, great people. I'd like to present them with an award And then we have a few pictures for them. Congratulations, Dan. 40 years. Where's the camera? Right there.
There we go.
Tom Warkle, 35 years. And Kelly Matlock, 35 years. Congratulations to you all.
Thank you.
I don't leave yet.
Stand back. Yep.
Speech.
Anybody want to say anything? Thank you.
No,
We
thank
couldn't
you
do
very
it,
much.
yeah,
Thank you very
we couldn't
much.
do everything without our mayor and council and our employees.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
So Lynette, you're gonna do the pictures?
I'm ready. You guys ready?
No.
For this?
Oh, a slide.
You can probably see better.
You mean,
Whatever you want to do. Yeah.
It's probably unfair to make you sit there. If you wanna go sit down, you could probably go sit down. You'd be more
I
comfortable.
saw it earlier.
how's that? That's all that I have control of.
Yeah.
I don't have control of that.
Turn those
So we
down.
have 3 service awards, Dana for 40 years, Tom for 35 years, and Kelly for 35 years. Dana started 12/1/1981. I have it on automatic.
Can't hear you, Lynette. Would you look in the microphone?
It seems a lot faster than when I practiced this. So here's Dana and Kelly, or Oz. Here's Coach Dana. He's coaching T-ball in this picture. And then this is his 41st birthday when he was here 20 years. And this is a picture from his childhood. This is Tom Warkle. He started in 1986. He's changing a tire here. This is Tom and all of his trades. He's a really good worker. And then this is Tom at play.
Power rings.
And this is Tom in his happy place. Kelly started also in 1986. She's always got a smile on her face. She's also known as Peppermint Patty. And she looks a lot like her daughter, Kayla. And she's so funny. Look at her. And this is them in 2021. Now it's going to start over. Thank you for your service to the city of Torrington. So if you missed those first few pictures, this is Dana when he started in 1981.
Looks more like Mario.
Thank you, Lynette. Is there more?
I don't know if it's going to stop.
Didn't you look at
Thank you guys for coming tonight. Obviously, we owed you a bit of a recognition. 35 years and 40 years, an awful long time. So congratulations, and we hate to see any of you get close to retirement age, but I know it's coming, so. But also, sometimes retirement doesn't stick, so just telling you, just in case. Thank you. Lynette, good job, thank you. All right, let's move on. Next item of business is to the approval of this consent agenda, which concludes the minutes from the 12/7/21 city council meeting as published.
Move to approve this.
Councilman Kelly, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Councilman Patterson, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We have approved the consent agenda. Next item is to approve the agenda. There are no additions or corrections to the agenda.
I'd move to approve the agenda as presented.
Councilwoman Steinbach, thank you. Is there a second?
Second that.
Councilman Patterson, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Very good. We don't have anything in the public forum, so we'll move into action items. The first action item is proposal for the 2022 golf season. Our staff reference tonight is David Dent, Golf Pro. Come on up, Dave.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I might add the 40, 35, and 35 is 110 years of service.
Yeah.
Quite impressive. We did the rates last time I was here, and now I just need to go through the 2022 tournament event schedule as you have presented, and just get it approved. That's all I need.
Pretty much the same as always.
Pretty much the same as always. Just maybe a date on your list that left off was a couple open dates, but I've since updated that, and I'll send you the new list of that.
As a fairly new guy, I'm just amazed and surprised at how many tournaments you have.
There's quite a few. On here, you'll see a bunch of open dates. That's why there's 3 pages, 2.5 pages. But I list the open dates to show you that we do have several in the beginning of the year, and then tournament season starts, and then the end of the year, we have quite a few. And then way to the right, I show you that we try to get the course open as soon as possible before or after the tournament.
Yeah, that was something I was going to add. A lot of the tournaments allow public people get on the course as soon as possible.
As soon as possible. Municipal golf courses, that's revenue. You got to get it open as soon as you can.
What does CCC Spring, CCC Dilly, what does that mean?
The spring is just the country clubs, that's their first tournament.
Okay.
Cottonwood Country Club, and the fall is one of their last
Okay,
tournaments.
okay. Wasn't sure what that was. Okay.
Any questions for Dave?
I would move to approve the 2022 golf tournament schedule as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Patterson to approve the proposal. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Steinbach, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the 2022 golf season. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Dave?
Just one thing, Mayor. On the 20th of January, which is a Thursday at 11:30, I want to remind you, put that on your calendar for our walkthrough.
Yep, we're looking forward to it.
Okay, I appreciate it.
See you there.
Thank
Thanks. All right, item number 2, business lease agreement between the City of Torrington and Youth Alternatives. Staff reference tonight is Matt Johnson, Chief of Police, and Jim Eddington, City Attorney. Matt, would you like to kind of give us a little background on Youth Alternatives?
Certainly. Youth Alternatives was in place in our county a number of years ago, faltered, and then due to a lack of funding, fell apart, which left us with essentially no resources for our juvenile justice system in the county. We started working on trying to put that together during the last budget, and the city was able to put together about an $8,000 contribution to make that work. We since partnered with YO Help and with a variety of other folks in the county and other places. Cindy Kenyon has done a great job of also working on some grant funding, and that $8,000 has turned into $45,000 odd in funding, where we're able to hire a full-time person. The goal of this lease is to enable Youth Alternatives through YO Help to utilize the old University of Wyoming facility here, so that they have a convenient spot to access the courts, access the different prosecuting attorneys, and be centrally located for all the schools. The upside of that is that there's nothing currently slated for use there. The downside of that is that should there be someone who wanted to lease that, it's a potential drop in revenue for the city if there were another interested party that would be willing to pay more money for it. We've had a slight bit of a setback with the Youth Alternatives program. initial hire that we made, the person was not able to continue in the position. We're actively working on finding a replacement. We have some interested folks, and we're working through that. So we're really optimistic that we can put together the efforts of a lot of folks and have a program that will help support kids who are having a hard time and lead them to make improvements in their lives and be successful.
I appreciate it. Everybody ought to know also that Matt, since he's been here, has put an awful lot of effort into getting this off the ground. We can give Matt as much credit as we possibly can because we're close. We keep getting closer and have a few bumps along the road, but we're getting close, and we expect by first of the year to have another person in place.
That might be a little optimistic, but hopefully not long afterwards.
Yeah, we want to be careful with that. Yeah. But very much appreciate the amount of time and effort you've put into this. Very good. All right, and the business lease agreement, Jim, you want to comment?
Basically, we just took the University of Wyoming lease agreement and modified it to fit our current circumstances, and that's what we're asking you to make a motion to approve.
Yeah, pretty simple. It's just formality, basically, to finalize and legalize what exactly we're doing down there.
Exactly.
Okay, very good, thank you. Any questions for Chief or for Attorney Eddington? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I'd move to approve this lease.
Councilman Steinbach, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Councilman Patterson, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the business lease agreement between the City of Torrington and Youth Alternatives for the location for that program. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We have approved the lease agreement. Item number 3, amendment number 10 to the agreement for professional services from Ingberg Miller Engineers. Jeff, you are on.
Yeah,
And
thank
we
you,
also
Mayor.
have Ed here tonight in case we need him. So Jeff, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. What we have is amendment number 10 from Ingberg Miller Engineers for the renewal permit for the Baylor Transfer Facility. DEQ notified us about a month ago that we needed to renew this permit, and the permit that we have right now is an 8-year permit, so every 8 years we have to renew it. The current permit's set to expire in 2023. However, they want us to have the renewal application in about 12 months ahead of that date. So we have until basically April of 2022 to get that permit in. The good thing about the new permit is it will be a lifetime permit, and therefore it won't be expiring every 8 years. Ingberg Miller was the engineer consultant that provided the previous renewal permit, and based on what I could find in the files, that permit was about a half-inch thick of paper in the application. So based on that, I didn't think I had enough time to go through that, plus he's completely familiar with our landfill and Baylor facility and the permit requirements of the state. So it's my recommendation that we go ahead and hire Ingberg Miller to do this permit renewal application.
Yeah, I don't think this was really a surprise to us that a renewal was coming, but at the same time, it might be a little bit of a surprise that it was going to be a lifetime thing and also cost us $10,000. So it is what it is, I guess. And we can't really get around it. So I don't know what else to add.
That's pretty much it.
Okay? Go ahead.
On here, there's one question, I have just one question. So obviously, if the scope of the services go over the 10,000, we will be required to pay that. But what if it's less than 10,000? Will they give us, I mean, do we just pay what the cost is, or is it
Typically,
$10,000?
these agreements for professional services are based on, the engineer's estimate, obviously, but it's usually based on time and materials, and numerous times they will come up short of what they're quoting. And obviously, they don't want to come up over, because I think it's a not-to-exceed contract, but a lot of times,
Okay,
the various consultants come in under what they've estimated.
okay. And with a lifetime, then, are there yearly fees for the baler, or like what, with DEQ, or how does that work?
I'm not completely sure, but if it's like the landfill permit, we usually have to do an annual report of the material that's been deposited at the landfill. So I have a feeling that there'll probably be some kind of annual reporting for the baler facility also.
Further questions?
Now, this is for the baler, correct?
Baler,
And what happens, because there was rumor floating around for a couple of years about moving the baler out to the landfill, then what happens? They have to go through this whole permit thing again?
it would probably be some kind of minor amendment to change the location, but the facility itself would still be the Torrington baler facility.
When and if we do that, it should be an improvement to our agreement. It should improve our efficiency, it should improve the way we handle trash and so on, so. It
Yes,
shouldn't be difficult to get it approved, I wouldn't think.
It would eliminate the site, which
yeah,
would
it'd
probably,
eliminate the baler facility where it is now. We probably, well, I think the idea is to locate it out at the landfill.
Okay? Other questions? Okay, I would entertain a motion.
I would move to approve.
Councilman Patterson, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Steinbach, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve amendment number 10 to the agreement for professional services with Ingberg Miller Engineers. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We have approved the amendment number 10. Thank you. Item number 4, resolution number 2021-11, Attorney Eddington.
It's a resolution authorizing submission of a hazard mitigation grant application for an outdoor warning siren project located in the Cold Springs Business Park.
Okay, thank you. So what we have basically is a request for the council to approve the grant application and also for doing the match that's required at the end. Clerk Treasurer Strecker, could you add to that?
Sure, the grant is a 75% grant, 25% match, and Chuck Kenyon is writing the grant, and I'd like to submit it, and in order to submit it, he does need this resolution. The grant amount is $15,577.99. The match amount will come from two sources: in-kind match of material and labor from the electric department, and then a cash match from the city general fund of $2,168. So about $5,000 match and about $15,000 grant. So the project's about $22,000. So we'd like to go forward with this. This is a worthwhile project, and we did not know that we would be able to do this grant out of hazard mitigation, so it was good news for us. And we've been trying to do this for a couple budget seasons now, so.
Yeah. Emergency Management Coordinator Kenyon has been trying to get this siren in South Torrington since he became the Emergency Management Coordinator. It's been in the budget. We've cut it a couple times because we just didn't have the money to fund it. But it appears this way he's figured out a way to get the money, and hopefully we can get this accomplished. Get the siren put up. Very good.
Is there no siren down there, that part of town currently?
There is not.
Okay.
It'll also serve South Torrington as well.
Okay.
Is this siren to be placed on the Cold Springs property?
I'm not sure exactly where it's going to be located. That would be a question for Chuck, and I can get back to you. But yes, I believe it is going to be on or very close to the property. It might be on the city's property close, maybe not right next to, but maybe close to
Near
the
the substation,
substation.
maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where it goes, where it's going either. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, let's move to a motion.
I move to approve Resolution 2021-11.
Councilman Kelly, thank you. We have a motion to approve on first reading. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Councilman Patterson, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2021-11. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Good. Excellent. All right, item number 5. The Wage Committee over the last, quite a while, 3 or 4 months probably, has been working on policy handbook amendments, and Clerk Treasurer Strecker is going to present them tonight and explain some, and I hope you can get through it. Good luck.
We've been pretty busy trying to get through some of these policy changes, and we'll be working on some more. I like to try to do policies in December and then again in July, set dates so that we know, have a goal to try to get some things done. So we'll start out with the tobacco-free workplace policy, and basically revise this to incorporate the new ordinance we adopted in November. And then we did add to that ordinance that tobacco use is not allowed in vehicles and equipment as well. And the ordinance talks about facilities of the city. And so we just wanted to make sure and add that for our equipment and vehicles.
Mayor, just as a point of clarification, we're approving each one individually?
Good question. Jim?
It's your preference. You can wait and do them all together, or you can do them individually. Totally up to you
It
guys.
makes sense to do them independently?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay. Thanks, Rick.
So I'd ask for your acceptance of the first policy for tobacco-free workplace.
Move to approve.
Councilman Patterson, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Steinbach, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the tobacco-free workplace. Further discussion?
Since this is a ordinance, doesn't the ordinance take precedence over policy?
That's why we made it the same as the ordinance, but for personnel, we added the equipment, city equipment. So it can't be exactly like it, because you're not enforcing this on the entire public like the ordinance is. The policies enforce it on the employees. So the employees are going to be expected to do everything that the public is under the ordinance, in addition to the equipment and vehicles.
And
of
you're
the city.
referencing the ordinance.
Right.
But the ordinance and the policy overlap each other though, right?
Well, the ordinance is going to affect all Torrington citizens or individuals in the city of Torrington at a time of that violation. And the policy is specific to city employees only.
Yeah, but the ordinance still, the city employees are still governed by the ordinance, right?
They could be in violation of both technically.
So does the policy stipulate a different penalty or whatever for an infraction than the ordinance does?
Does not.
If it's helpful, sir, the vehicle edition under the policy is much broader than the ordinance, because the ordinance can only apply inside of city limits. And a fair amount of the time, our vehicles are traveling outside of city limits, and we wouldn't really be able to issue tickets to employees if they were driving out to the landfill and using a tobacco product inside of the city vehicle. Not that we would want to do that anyways, but it's much more effective to utilize the ordinance to govern activities of everyone inside of city limits. And then because our vehicles often fall outside of city limits, we use policy to govern that, because policy, an employee policy can be applicable in any place, if that's helpful.
Well, and the ordinance doesn't address use in vehicles and those kind of things
Yeah.
that are here that are specific to
It'd be very
employees.
challenging to do that on an ordinance
Yep.
basis.
But the policy says that the city employee can't smoke on any public or any city property, correct?
The ordinance provides specific restrictions on where tobacco can and can't be used.
Okay, so if a city employee was smoking in the park, for example, would the policy affect the outcome, or would the ordinance affect the outcome?
Well, effectively both,
Could
You
be.
could do
He could
both.
write him a ticket, and his supervisor could reprimand him.
because the policy requires that they comply with the ordinance, or they can be subject to discipline at the city. And the ordinance requires that they comply with the law so that they could be subject to a criminal infraction.
Yeah, what we don't want, we don't want them smoking in vehicles, and we don't want them smoking in buildings. That's essentially it, right?
Those are the two big ones. There are some other things there that play into that related to parks, areas where children would congregate, any other place where something is posted, or immediately outside of public entrances at any city building.
I guess what I'm getting at is there a possibility that the policy and the ordinance would crash heads together at some point in time?
They should only complement. Eddington, please feel free. to-
Yeah, I agree. I mean, one's a law and one's a policy, and they are two different things. Because the policy is limited, the effect of the policy is limited to employees only. The ordinance is to anybody in city limits.
But I don't think the policy outlines any kind of penalty for anything, though, does it?
Does not. It would be a reprimand. It could be a reprimand violating city policy.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, let's move to a vote. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, unanimous. Okay, Clerk Treasurer's Director, safety glasses.
Okay, the safety glass, we revised this ordinance. There seemed to be a little confusion with new employees about the limit and the procedure. So we clarified both of those in this policy. The limit is $550, and so that we don't have to change the policy every time that changes, we just say it's going to be on file with the clerk treasurer's office. And then the procedure will go through the supervisor first. The supervisor will look at his budget and decide whether or not to approve it and send it on like a normal purchase through the city of Torrington. So this policy just clarifies that. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have on that.
I have one, I'm trying not to complicate things here, but we're referencing two specific businesses by name. If one of them happened to change their name or whatever, we'd have to change the thing. I'm wondering if we could just say local provider as designated by the city and not mention those two businesses.
We could.
I'm just looking to simplify it so that we don't.
That's the way it has been worded for, I don't know, up teen years, because those businesses have been, but you're right. If one of them were to.
Sometimes, you know.
And it does say, or other local provider, but we can definitely make it more general, less specific. What do you guys, if you want to make a motion with that change, that would be great.
Move to amend it.
Are you ready for a motion?
You can move to amend if you want.
I would move to amend this safety glasses policy and delete the specific reference, or references to the specific businesses, and keep the verbiage where it says local providers as designated by the city.
Okay.
Okay. If I understand it, do we want to delete the words Vision Source or Eastern Wyoming Eye Clinic?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Councilman Patterson and a second by Councilman Kelly to amend this policy, striking Vision Source or Eastern Wyoming Eye Clinic from it. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that is struck. We are still dealing with the policy.
So
Yeah.
does the policy, does it, the 550, that is for physically the glasses or anything related to it?
The glasses and the lenses,
Or, but not necessarily the exam or anything like that?
no.
Any other questions? Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the policy as amended.
I would move to approve the policy, the safety glasses policy as amended.
Thank you, Councilwoman Steinwalk. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Kelly, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the policy on safety glasses as amended. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next policy, Lynette, Internet Information Protection and Control Standards.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of changes in this policy. This policy was changed by Jesse Bowen with Goshen County IT, just clarifying some language. Most of these are housekeeping changes. There is some clarification on which employees receive email accounts. So all new full-time employees will receive email accounts. Part-time and seasonal will on a case-by-case basis.
I have a suggestion for that, if that particular section, if that's, it doesn't refer, we have city email accounts and we're not full-time employees, so I'm wondering if it should specify that city council members are elected officials or however.
We consider you a part-time employee,
Okay,
but if you want to add, I mean, that's fine.
if it's covered that way, it's fine. Okay.
As I read through this policy, I don't really see any policy change. I see some cleaning up of words and phrases and dates and so on. Am I correct, Lynette?
Yes.
Okay. Questions for Clerk Treasurer Strecker about Internet Information Protection and Control Standards?
So the only changes then are the red.
Correct.
Yes, thank you. I would move to approve it.
Thank you, Councilman Patterson. We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Steinbach, thank you. We have a motion to approve and a second to approve Internet Information Protection and Control Standards. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We have approved item C. Item D, promotion, demotions, and transfers. Clerk Treasurer Strecker.
The reason for the change in this was specifically the effective date of the promotion, demotion, or transfer. We found in payroll and human resources that it was really hard to make a transfer in the middle of a pay period. So we just clarified that language. And as I was reading through the policy, I found some language in there that I didn't think was necessary, so I took it to the wage committee, and they agreed. So it cleans up a little bit of language in the policy, and you can see those in red. Parts that I took out that either weren't necessary or they conflicted with another policy.
I like this idea of shortening policies.
Yeah.
Anytime you can cut some.
Me too.
Further questions for Clerk Treasurer Stricker? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve item D, promotions, demotions, and transfers.
So moved.
Councilman Patterson, thank you. A motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Steinbach, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve promotions, demotions, and transfers. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item E, on-call policy. Clerk Treasurer Stricker.
So this policy, I cleaned up some old language, but the major changes that the Wage Committee talked about is the 1 hour minimum under employees called out to assist on-call personnel outside of normal working hours. When someone's on call and they assess the situation and have to call in somebody else who isn't necessarily in call, for some reason, we only had a 1 hour minimum in there, and it just was really inconsistent, and it was really hard for us with timesheets to try to say, okay, were they assisting? What are they doing? We just felt like for consistency purposes, the 2 hour minimum would work better in the operation and for the city. And it's only fair. I mean, if the person on call is getting 2 hours, the person who's called in, who wasn't expecting to be called in, should get 2 hours. But that was our discussion in the Wage Committee.
If you called me at 3 in the morning and wanted me to climb into a trench where there was a broken water pipe, I'd want at least 2 hours.
Yeah.
It just seems reasonable.
And most of the time, the on-call takes more than an hour, but every once in a while, like in the electric department, if they just have, a circuit out or whatever, and they go in and out, and it's only an hour, but really, it takes more than that. By the time you get back to sleep, it interrupts your whole, your whole life. So we felt like 2 hour minimum was there, and then we also added, we practiced this, but it was not in the policy. When you are called out, you can get overtime or comp time. So we just added that to the policy to clarify that you can take either.
Is that consistent with regular overtime?
It is.
It's what you do.
You get, if you're, have 1 hour of comp time, it accrues as 1.5 hours off.
Okay, because that's
Yeah.
what you're doing here. When you call somebody
Right.
out, you're creating an overtime situation.
Right, exactly.
So do they get to choose, and do they have to choose prior, or how do?
It's kind of up to the department head and how he handles his timesheets in his department. But most of the time, they let them choose. And then we also cleared up the language. If you remember, we talked about this in the last budget work session about the on-call policy. We took out the history there in the middle. We had a history in there of when it started and the amount it started at, and we just felt that was irrelevant, so we just cleaned that up and made it simple and clean there.
Thank you. Further questions for Clerk Treasurer Stricker?
I have one on page 4, right at the top.
Page 4?
Page 4.
That's another
only
policy,
one.
I think.
That's not there.
Oh, wait
We're in
till
the
we get
minutes.
there.
Okay.
I would move to approve this policy.
Councilwoman
On-call policy.
Steinbach, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Patterson, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the on-call policy. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We have approved the on-call policy. Item F, Clerk Treasurer Stricker, compensation and performance evaluation.
Okay, so this policy was brought up in regards to longevity pay. I don't know if you remember last meeting when I visited with you about the merit increases. I said that there were, I believe, 9 that are on longevity, and then there were 4 who would not be getting a merit increase. Looking into that for next year, there's going to be 10 more that would not be getting merit increases. We discussed this as a committee with at the wage committee, and we decided to offer up what we call a merit pay stipend for employees on the top step of the pay level. And basically what it is it eliminates the longevity pay of 15 years and just allows for some pay for their performance, even though they've reached the top of their scale. So it'll be calculated the same way. Basically, if they receive, let's say, and exceeds expectations, that would be a 3% increase. So what I would do is take that times their annual wage, and then that would be a flat amount that they would get. And the other suggestion we had is changing it to a biweekly, every paycheck payment instead of a lump sum one payment. The reason for that is, number one, the taxes that are withheld on that lump sum payment for those employees is pretty significant, and they lose some of that. The other thing is cash flow wise, it helps my cash flow to spread it out over the year. And then another reason would be for retirement. If you do spread it out like that, it is eligible for Wyoming retirement compensation. If you pay it in a lump sum, it is not. So those are the reasons we wanted to make those changes. And then you had a question,
I had a
Councilman
question
Patterson?
on page 4, right at the top. And it's just the language, and it says all cost of living increases would go into effect being, and I'm wondering if it should say will or shall? Maybe
yeah, we
that's
can do that while we're changing it.
ask our attorney if that makes any difference, I guess, but it just seemed to me that
I mean, if you decide that we don't have enough in our budget to do a COLA,
yeah, there is a
disclaimer
in here somewhere that we have to
Yeah.
approve it.
Mm-hmm. Do you see that on the top of page 4?
Shall would be the appropriate
Okay.
verbiage if it's approved.
Is this an editorial thing, or is it going to require an amendment?
It's just editorial as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
All right with you? All right.
Substitute.
So it's going to be shall? Okay, thank you. Okay. Other questions for Clerk Treasurer's Director about compensation performance? For the untrained or the uneducated person, compensation performance evaluation is a complicated and difficult to understand thing. And it was difficult for me. I was privileged to sit in the wage committee meeting last time when this was coming together, and Chief Johnson, Director of Public Works Harkins, and Clerk Treasurer Stecker worked long and hard to come up with this, and I think it makes good sense, and it solved a problem that we tried having trouble getting through, so I think it works out fine. So thanks for coming up with that.
So there's no one that's more unknowledgeable and uneducated than I am as far as this goes, so I have a question. Going back to the merit pay stipend, is there a cap on a position as far as those increases that they're getting? Is there a cap where somebody gets to the top and that's as high as they can go?
Yeah, there's the top of the scale, and once
Okay.
they reach that top of their pay level, they're no longer eligible for the hourly increases. So that's why this is a flat amount just added, And it would go away at the end of the year if their performance changes.
Okay, so once they have it, they don't get another one on top of it and another one on top?
No, no, no.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify, that's a problem we had at the college years ago, is there was no top, and you had people making 3 times as much.
No.
40-year employees making 3 times as much as a new employee doing the same job, and that
Yeah.
person was making more than their supervisor and their supervisors.
And we did kind of play with the wording. The merit pay stipend will begin the first pay period of January and in the last pay period of that calendar year.
Okay.
So hopefully that,
So is it every year, though?
if the council approves a merit increase, they would be reevaluated through the process, and then it would happen again for the next year, but it wouldn't go on top
But
of
it
what was
was
already
just for
there.
that year,
Right.
and it either gets
Right,
maintained or reduced or
Right.
whatever, depending on
It could
performance.
change depending on their evaluation.
right. It could
Yes.
change, and it could go away if we decide there's not enough money in the budget.
Sure, there's very likely possibility that if we do not have enough money, the council's not going to approve this, so
Yeah.
it would
Right.
not be in effect.
So every year it will come to you for your approval.
And so when you do your budget, then will you budget in pretending that all 10 of those employees next year will get 4%?
Right, so when I do my budgeting for merit increases, I use the average
Okay,
and try to average that in, because I don't know how people
right.
are going to come out, but that's what I use.
Thank you. Further questions?
Yeah, I would also like to say I appreciate all the work on this, because as an employee, I think it means a lot that administration and the council value our employees, so thank you for doing this. I would make a motion I'd move to approve the compensation and performance evaluation.
Councilwoman Steinbach, thank you. We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Patterson, thank you. We have a motion to approve and a second. Compensation and performance evaluation. Further questions for Clerk Treasurer Stricker or any of the other people who worked on this?
I just want to say that, in this day and age, we kind of have to look at retention of employees. There's a lot of jobs out there, and we want to keep our good employees here, and I think that these policies help do that. So thank you very much for supporting us.
If we eliminated retirement, that might help too. Just a thought.
Careful there. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have approved item F. We've approved the policy handbook amendments from item 5. Thank you for getting through that. That was difficult. Big challenge. All right, let's move to item 6, approval of the bills from 12/08/21 through 12/21/21. Clerk Treasurer Stricker.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The bills are a lot shorter than last time, but attached to your agenda were bills for your approval, and then handed out tonight was another short list, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
I do have one quick question.
Sure.
And this is probably a really dumb question.
No.
But do we pay monthly for Cassell?
Cassell,
Cassell? Okay, so
Yes.
that's a monthly charge. Okay.
It's a monthly charge, yes.
That's a lot. Okay.
It is. It is our main operating for our billing, payroll, administration, materials management. It's our, and court. So yeah, it is,
Okay.
it is everything.
Okay. Thank you.
So I have one question. I promise it's the last question I'm going to ask tonight.
That's fine.
You shouldn't promise that.
I know. Page 8, right at the bottom, Z&W Mill. I was just curious, what are dirt buckets for cremations?
Page 8.
Last page.
Z&W Mill. I was almost afraid to ask that, but maybe I don't want to know.
I don't know either.
I don't think we have an expert here tonight that can answer that.
I'll follow up later.
I can check with Clay and get back to you.
Okay, it's a small amount. I'd never seen that before, and I didn't know what a dirt bucket for cremation was.
Dirt buckets for cremations. I'd hate to speculate on what they are.
I have a couple of questions. One on the first page, the first and second page for Chicago lumber for $5,200. I'd say that's either a cat house or a garage for a new police car.
It's the cat house. The cattery, as we were affectionately calling it. That's a big chunk of the framing and siding, framing and exterior cladding for the cattery.
I figured that, I just had to put that in there.
Are we building that, or did we contract with someone?
Terry
He
Scheinberg
is in,
building that.
Okay.
Terry has acted as the general on that, and she has done a lot of the labor herself.
wow,
And she's doing a great job of coming in. We think we're going to be under budget on it, but she's making great progress, and she's been coordinating different contractors. If you have a few minutes, it'd be worth swinging out there and take a look at what she's gotten done,
Yeah.
because it's pretty cool.
wow, good for her. When will it be done, do you think? Or what's the projected
We're
date?
Probably mid-February before she's got, she's made tremendous progress. They're looking at windows and siding. The interior paneling is up. She's got to get some appliances and some electric stuff in, but
Nice.
it's looking amazing.
Nice.
She won't disappoint.
Yeah.
Dennis, you had more questions?
The only other one I had was on page 2 of the first set.
Page
Salt
2?
and water. Says 50 pounds of salt for $46. Surely there's more than 50 pounds of salt there.
Yeah, you would think so.
Where are you, Dennis?
On the second page down at the bottom.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Gosh, I hope.
Let me look at the invoice. We can't fit everything on those little lines, so.
500.
Probably.
That would be 6 50-pound bags.
It makes more sense.
Yes.
Good catch.
Another question?
Nope, that's all.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the bills.
Move to approve the bills as presented.
Councilman Kelly, thank you. We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second?
Councilman Steinbach, thank you. We have a motion to approve and a second to approve the bills. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have approved the bills. Time for public comment. Unless Ed's got something he wants to say, I don't think there's going to be any public comment. Okay, we'll do away with that. And I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Councilman Steinbach, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Patterson, thank you. Have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all. Appreciate it.